Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. Ladies and gentlemen, week 10 is in the books, and we had a few stumbles this week, nothing we can't recover from, but we did come back and be victorious in a few leagues. So let's go ahead and get to those. First, we're going to start off with the Cheese Weasels. This week, we are in 6th place with 93 points, just a tad bit below what we were last week, but again, long season, lots of room to improve, and we definitely did. We're going to talk about some of the categories we're leading in and some we can do better in. But first, let's talk about the guys who did well for us. We had gems from Paul Skeens, who had a win and 7 strikeouts, sub-1 whip, sub-1 ERA. We also had Dean Kremer getting us a win with 7 strikeouts, and then Jameson Taillon coming out with only 2 strikeouts, but did get the win and a sub-1 whip, so pretty happy with my pitching performances this past week. We also had 3 saves from Daniel Palencia, who was an ad for this week. Another ad was Chandler Simpson, who got us 3 stolen bases. And unfortunately, I did miss 2 of the stolen bases earlier in the week, so that's pretty unfortunate. But we did also have some home runs, and we'll talk about missed home runs later. But we did have home runs, at least one, from Mr. Zach Neto, Nolan Arenado, Larry Butler, or Lawrence Butler, Shea Langoliers, Spencer Torkelson, and Marcell Ozuna. Now, like we talked about before, some of the guys that didn't do well for us did include what we missed. We missed a Lars Nootbaar home run, and we missed 3 Christian Yelich home runs. That's frustrating. Also, like we talked about before, we missed 2 Chandler Simpson stolen bases, and then we missed the old Spencer Strider. He was doing well, and then ran into a little bit of trouble. Did strike out 7, so that was pretty good. Then Matt Liberatore apparently forgot how to pitch. I thought he had a pretty good matchup going against the Rangers. Adolis Garcia's trying to find his life. Corey Seager's still coming back from being injured. Wyatt Langford has definitely dropped from what he was, no longer hitting 300. But we lost 11-1. Cool. So that didn't help any of my ratios. Speaking of ratios, we picked up a few guys that were supposed to help with those, including Chandler Simpson, who's supposed to help with stolen bases, and he did until he got demoted, so that's pretty frustrating. We also picked up Jameson Taillon, Dean Kremer, Matt Liberatore, Tyler Meagle, and Daniel Palencia. Daniel Palencia, huge help for me. To make room for those new guys, we had to drop Patrick Corbin, Walker Buehler, Matt Liberatore, Dean Kremer, Gavin Lux, and Tyler Meagle. Now, we talked about before some of the categories we were doing very well in and or winning. They include strikeouts, which we very quickly came back and took over the lead of those, and holds, which is part of the plan we had at the beginning of the season. We are 2nd place, we're getting 9 points for saves, which is also part of the plan we had before, and walks. Very happy with some of the guys doing well for me. Lars Nootbaar is a walk machine. Marcell Ozuna, Spencer Torkelson doing very well with that, so very happy with those guys. Some of the categories we could definitely lead in, or hopefully not to be so bad in, or at least, do a little better, do include blown saves, losses, ERA, and whip, and home runs. You think I had a few more home runs? What I got? No, I'm getting 2 points. We got to do better. We just got to do better. Speaking of doing better, we're going to move to the Funky Junky Joker Monkeys, and we need some guys to do better. Unfortunately, this week, we got our 2nd loss of the season. Oh, man, that's pretty frustrating. And it was a fluke loss, too. And I'll explain what I mean by fluke loss. It was a loss, and L's and L's and L. However, we definitely coulda, shoulda, woulda won this, but, pitching, right? Final score was 439-462. Our leading score was Jeremy Pena with 47, followed by Nick Pivetta with 29, Jose Altuve with 24, and then we only had 2 guys get 20 points other than that, and that pretty much shows you why we didn't do well and why our pitching was so bad. Talk about some of the guys that did not do well for us. Yes, we had some pitchers not do well, but let's look at some of the position players that didn't do well for us. The following 4 guys had between 9 and 23 at-bats. So it wasn't like, dude, you didn't do anything for me and you had 1 at-bat. So Connor Norby, you only got me 6 points. I love Connor Norby. He's my ECU man. Unfortunately, ECU was knocked out by a terrible, heartbreaking loss to Coastal the other night. Oh my gosh. But it's okay. It's okay. East Carolina's going to come back. They're great. Woo! Go Pirates. Bryson Stott only got me 5 points. And then Kyle Stowers and Nolan Arenado only got me 3 points each. Yeah, can you see why those position players definitely did not help us win? Pitching-wise, we had 5 points each from Pablo Lopez and Bryce Miller. So those guys are averaging 10 to 20 points each. So say, hypothetically, we would have gotten another 20 points. So now that goes from 39 to 49 to 59. Oh, so now it's 63-59. And, say Kyle Stowers literally just hits one home run. Arenado hits one home run. One of them hits one home run, does something. Oh, guess what? Now we win. That's why I call it a fluke. We're 8-2. We went from number 1 team to number 2 team. And now this is when we were playing the number 1 team, which is why it's going to be important to get the adds and drops and starts right. Speaking of adds and drops, we did have a few this past week. We added Erick Fedde and dropped Victor Scott of those Cardinals. And I needed a pitcher going into Sunday. I had Randy Vasquez and Erick Fedde. Erick Fedde got like 12 or 13 points. Vasquez got 3. So, yeah, not good. So I picked up Griffin Jackson and dropped Ty France. Wait, they're both twins. So I did teammate swaps? Oh, like wife swap. I wish they would have done better for me. So like I said, this week it is the number 2 team, me at 8-2, playing the number 1 team, whoever that guy is, 9-1. So hopefully we come out on top, regain our number 1 seed, and can do a little bit of relaxing for the rest of the season. Not too much though. We're gonna move to the Kent Murphy Dingers. This was a fun week for me. It was a nerve-wracking week. It was a frustrating week, but it was a flattering week. Ooh, I feel so pretty. I'm so pretty. It was fun because the guy I was playing hadn't changed his lineup in like 2 weeks. But when he's playing me, I guess I was the catalyst to make him want to play and change his lineup and do adds and drops. He made a trade, which was a terrible trade, with someone else. But yeah, it was fun. It was nerve-wracking. Throughout the week, I was losing. Oh, I was losing like as bad as like 7-3 going into Saturday. I'm like, oh God, I'm going to be this guy's first win. I'm going to give this guy his first win of the season, potentially his only win for the season, and that's going to be 2 losses for me. It's going to look really bad. Well, thanks to the power of Jacob Wilson, my boy, on Sunday he went 4 for 4. He got a stolen base, and he was able to tie the stolen bases and raise our average high enough to where we came out with a win, 5-4. Far closer than it should have been. Absolutely. I really thought I was going to give this guy his first win of the season, but I did not. The scariest part was I had stat corrections coming for Bryan Woo and Christopher Sanchez that was going to be 2 additional hits and 3 additional earned runs. I'm like, oh, don't let this be my downfall. Don't let this be the issue. Well, it raised my ERA from like 2.7 to like 3.2, and luckily he had a 3.6 ERA, so we're okay. We still won. Again, 5 categories to 4, strictly based on the fact that Jacob Wilson stole the base for us and went 4 for 4. We did have some other big players, including Jose Altuve, who had 3 home runs, and unfortunately only had 4 RBIs. Let's get some ducks on the pond, Altuve. We also had 1 home run each from Jackson Merrill, Alec Boehm, and Zach Neto. Then we also had 1 home run and a stolen base from Lawrence Butler and Jacob Wilson. The Athletics single-handedly won me this week, and Mr. Jacob Wilson absolutely won me a category, or tied me a category, with stolen bases. Thank you, kind sir. Moving to the pitching, we had a ton of saves. We had 11 saves this week. Far more than what we needed, and we could have used those elsewhere other weeks. But anyway, Will Vest got us 4. Daniel Palencia got us 3. So that was 7 right there. So my other closers got me a mix of 4. We also had big performances from pitchers, including Hunter Brown, who got me 2 wins, 13 strikeouts, sub-1 whip, and sub-1 ERA. And then Carlos Rodon, who got me 1 win, 10 strikeouts, and a 0 ERA and a sub-1 whip. So, booyah! That's what I'm talking about. Now for the guys that didn't do as well for me. We had a very cold week from Wilson Contreras, also Hunter Goodman, and Zach Neto. Despite the home run, that was like the only hit he had the week. So, yeah, not good. We also had subpar outings, pitching-wise, from Christopher Sanchez. Didn't do as well as I wish he could have done, but it's okay. And Ryan Weathers, picked Ryan Weathers up because he had been great throughout the entire season. Well, the 4 starts he had. And then just didn't want to pitch against the Giants, apparently, so that stinks. Something else has been very frustrating. It's a double-edged sword. One side, hey, I drafted you in fantasy. You were a keeper for me. I needed you to do well. On the other side, hey, man, something's going on. Baseball is a game. Supposed to be having fun. Adolis Garcia. I mentioned before, he's finding his life, doing whatever you need to do, so Yeah, frustrating, but as we move to the adds and drops, surprise, surprise, you were dropped. To continue with the drops, we said goodbye to Hunter Goodman, Alex Vesia, and Patrick Corbin. But because we dropped those guys, we were able to add a few guys, including Ryan Weathers, who, again, forgot how to pitch for me. Chandler Simpson, who got me some stolen bases and then was sent back down to the minors. So yeah, that's frustrating. We also had Daniel Palencia, which has been a lifesaver, and Shane Bieber. That's right, the Biebs. He's going to be back soon, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And hopefully he does well. First rehab start, did very well. Hopefully he's going to build back up, come back for the Indians, and do well for my team. At this point in time, we were 6-1-2. Unfortunately, we couldn't win all of them, but hey, man, let's go ahead and get them out of the way before we get to the championships, right? This week, I'm playing the number 1 team in the league as I am the number 2 team in the league. And it's going to be frustrating, especially because this guy that I'm playing does have a really good team. He traded for some. He really scalped a few people. He tried to scalp me as well. He tried to say, hey, man, I'll give you Mike Trout for Carlos Rodon. Silly. Like, maybe other people fall for that. But I told him, like, man, I'm not going to get fleeced, man. But in any case, hopefully I'll come out with a win. Hopefully I'll take over number 1 in the league. But only time will tell. Now we're going to move to the ESPN leagues and first start off with the Peach Creek Purgatory team, where this week was, surprise, surprise, another win. This week's win, which brought us to 9-1, was a 930 to 695 victory. Top scorer was my boy Jameson Taillon with 61, followed by Framber Valdez with 58, Brent Rooker with 55, and then Austin Riley with 52. Thank you for your service. On the other side, Max Fried only got us 2. That's frustrating. But what's more frustrating is Brian King got us -16. What? I feel like I picked to keep Brian King over Stephen O'Kurt. Maybe that was a bad move. Speaking of adds and drops, we didn't have any this week, so surprise! I feel really good about this team. Let's just keep it going. Let's not have silly hiccups like we did in Funky Junky Joker Monkeys. Again, 9-1. I won't say we're cruising because we're going to hit a bruising here in a little bit. But yeah, let's just be smart, be strong, and start only the correct number of pitchers, which is 12. We hit 12 last week. I moved to the South Harmon Institute of Technology, where this was a big win over a team with more wins than me. We came out with 11 wins, 4 losses, and 3 ties. At one point in time, we were up like 14-2, so I was pretty disappointed that we only won 11. But hey, I'll take 11. I mean, obviously I want 14. I want all of them, but you get what I'm saying. We had a lot of big performers, including Mr. Francisco Lindor, who had 19 total bases, 3 home runs, and he added 5 RBIs. Erker had 15 total bases, 1 home run, and also 5 RBIs. We then also had 3 guys with at least 11 total bases. One of those did include Yanier Diaz, who had 2 home runs, but then only also had 2 RBIs. So let's get some ducks on the pond there, man. Someone who just missed out on the double-digit total bases was Eugenio Suarez. He hit me 2 home runs. He had 9 total bases, and he gave me several RBIs, so thank you, Gino. Pitching-wise, we had 4 saves/holds, which it was 1 save and 3 holds from Tommy Canley. Overall, we had a sub-1 whip. We also had 0 losses and 0 blown saves, so it is harder to get better than that. However, there are a few guys that we don't want to thank, including CJ Abrams, who again, for the 2nd week in a row, went 1 for 12. Kyle Stowers, you went 1 for 17. Have you lost it, dude? Have you lost it? Like, lost all the mojo. We also picked up Jake Myers, who was hitting 300, and we got 1 for 8. That was not what I was expecting. Not at all. And pitching-wise, Bailey Ober had another bad outing, and I don't know what to make of this man. He is literally a monster, and he should be able to dominate, but he's kind of like Shrek. He's a big man, and I'm sure he's a nice man, but need you to do a little more, buddy. Let's use the adds and drops. If we were back in like 2015, my team would be loaded, but we're not. So we'll still talk about them because I really like them. The ads did include Tyler Meagle. That's not important. Salvador Perez and Nolan Arenado. Yep. We're able to get those 2 guys because the same guy dropped them from the same team. So Yeah, hopefully they do well for me. Love Salvi, love Arenado, always try to have him on my team, so glad to finally have him. Other than the drops to include Will Benson, Tyler Meagle, and Patrick Corbin. How does Patrick Corbin always wind up on my teams? Like, he's not even that. How does he always wind up on my teams? This big week borrows to 84 wins, 61 losses, and 35 ties. That sounds good, but let's not be complacent. We absolutely cannot take your foot off the gas pedal. We have to continue to get as many wins as possible, and I do not want to leave the chance this year. I missed out by half a game last year. Don't want to even have that opportunity this year. Last team we're talking about, the Russell My Gym Jams team, where I was playing Crybaby Commissioner, who was too scared to do a redraft. So at one point in time, I was leading like 10 categories to 8 or something like that. And of course, him, because he has been able to pull the commish card and get people to trade him or pick up the right people. I mean, apparently this was a taco league or a cupcake league before I got there. But anyway, whatever. Don't want to keep complaining. We ended up losing 5 categories to 8 categories to 3 categories. Could have been worse. Could have been better. But yeah, that's very frustrating. It is, because we were winning at some point in time. However, on Sunday, some of my ads didn't pick up. Like, for example, Jake Myers didn't play. Why was he in my lineup? I didn't have him there. I wanted Lourdes Gurriel, who has been on fire, who has been done, very well over the last few weeks. So why would I not have Lourdes Gurriel in there? Yeah, kind of odd to me. Why would someone, again, over $25 is pathetic. Why would someone want to do that? So yeah, seems like he's scared, and also wanted to make sure that there was no way that I could beat him or take any more categories. But whatever, let's get to the guys that did well for me. We had 4 guys who had at least 2 extra base hits. We had 7 guys with at least 1 home run. And we had 4 guys with 4 walks each. Gavin Sheets, Taylor Ward, Bryson Stott, and Larry Butler. We also had 13 strikeouts from Kevin Gausman, and we had 3 holds and 1 save from Tommy Canley. On the opposite end of the guys producing well, the ones who did not help me win any more categories, did include my 4 catchers, Hunter Goodman, JT Realmuto, Logan O'Hoppe, and Wilson Contreras. Unfortunately, we also had some bad outings, mainly from our relievers, who upped our whip and upped our ERA. I believe we only lost whip, and it was by 0.02 of a point, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when it comes to whip, it obviously is. I'm pretty sure Graham Ashcraft alone lost me that category. Yeah. But in any case, let's go ahead and move to the adds and drops. I feel good about the guys we were able to add this week. I've been on my team a few times, Zach McKinstry and Jake Myers, but then we also flipped it and got Sawyer Gibson Long, who I definitely told you to pick up last week, and Xavier Edwards. I didn't have him when we went 4 for 5 this past week, but I will have him moving forward, so I'm pretty happy with that. And in order to make room for those guys, we did in fact have to drop Zach McKinstry, so I feel like he just keeps bouncing on and off our team. Trevor Lornock, which of course when I drop him, he decides to absolutely go off for like 11 hits over the last 5 days, but it is what it is. Also, George Springer also decides to go off when I drop him. And finally, Matt Verley, who I absolutely was excited about coming back, but then literally like 2 days healthy, he went right back to the IL, so this subpar and frustrating week brought us to 65 wins, 66 losses, and 29 ties. Unfortunately, we are now under 500 by my metric, the wins and losses. Yes, the ties, each tie counts as half a win, so technically we have another 14 wins, but I don't like to go by that. We need to do better. We're not too far out from playoff contention, but we have to do better than 5 wins a week. Now that we finished the recaps for all 6 of the teams, let's go ahead and move to the guys I think you should add. If you haven't heard already, you probably lived under a rock, so just get away from Patrick Starr's house and come up to the surface of the ocean so you can see Jack Caglione finally coming up for the Royals. 12 games at AAA, several home runs later, and a lot of mashing to get on base. And finally, the Royals like, hey, Pasquantino, you're not doing it, buddy. However, don't really see old Vinny missing out on time at first, so Jackie Boy will probably end up being DH. But then that could hurt Salvi's chances because Salvi also does play first and DH. Yes, he will be behind the plate, but we'll see how much this will diminish or hurt Salvi's time actually being in the field. Is that good for me? I have him on a few teams. I think with the Royals going to the pitching, though, especially for holds, if Carlos Estevez is available in your league, 1, you're in a cupcake league, just go ahead and pick him up. But 2, Lucas Ursage went down for back strain or back spasm or something like that. So if there's anyone else, if you have holds in this league as a category, go ahead and pick up literally anyone else in that Royals bullpen because they'll probably get you some because their main guy, Ursage, is now down. Moving back to the bats. if you have the opportunity to pick him up, Max Muncy, he decided to come back to life. Not sure why. Of course, it was the week he was going against me, but you know, whatever. Cool. Really, anyone from the Dodgers. So I don't want to single Max Muncy out, but yeah, and I only say that because he's available in a few of my leagues. I already have third baseman I like, so I'm not necessarily going to pick Max Muncy up, but he has like 30 walks. So if you have OPS, OPB, or just walks as a category, he could be a gold mine. So take a look at that, you know. I'm going to go back to the Royals because I forgot it. 2-start pitcher this week, Michael Lorenzen. Now, it's not the sexiest of names. However, tomorrow he gets the Cardinals, which they could rough him up a little bit. But then Sunday he gets the White Sox. Now, keep in mind, this guy threw a no-hitter for the Phillies like 2 years ago. Yeah. Think about that. Michael Lorenzen, he walks a lot of guys. Just like Michael Wacha. Wacha walks. But, yeah, he threw a no-hitter. How crazy is that? So if you need a pitcher, 2 starts, definitely look at him. He should be able to get at least 1 win, right? But that's going to do it for the recap. That's going to do it for the ads. And hopefully you like the Royals because that's where like 3/4 of the ads come from. So in any case, I look forward to being here again with you next week and telling you about how our teams do so well and how we took back over first place in our leagues. But, you know, just keep in mind it's me and there are Saturdays and Sundays in the week and my team decides to implode on the weekends. But hopefully we'll have good news next week. This is JK, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.